Hey, what's up, y'all? God damn. They done found R. Kelly guilty a second time. This time in Chicago. And on one hand, I guess I can say I'm not really surprised. And I'm not surprised because how it was all set up. You know? How they set it up. He was set up to lose from the very beginning. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of things personally I feel that was wrong with this trial. But he was set up to lose from the very beginning because they went back and they flipped the witness in the 2008 trial and they dragged her back into it, and they brought in other witnesses. And to me, this is not, in this situation, this is not what I call double jeopardy, right? Because I've been over this a couple of times. It's not double jeopardy because the state can charge you for a crime, and then the federal government can turn around and charge you for similar crimes. So the reason they're able to do this is because they have something called dual sovereignty, right? So they consider the state its own king, and they consider the feds their own king or their own sovereign. And because they're two different sovereigns, they don't see it as being charged by the same sovereign, which would basically invoke the double jeopardy clause of the Constitution. So that's how they're able to get over that. But there's other safeguards. I've actually made videos on my channel about other safeguards against things like this, and the other safeguard is called successive prosecution, meaning two states or the state and the federal government shouldn't really be prosecuting you for the same crime or similar crimes. Now, keep in mind, when I say the same crime, it doesn't have to be the exact same thing, and it doesn't have to include all the same facts. I think that the threshold is that if you were charged in one form and they could have brought additional charges, then they should have brought everything at one time in that one form, right? And if you lose in that form, then, for example, if you're on the border of what do you call it? If you live in Chicago like I do, right? And Indiana is just a hop, skip, and a jump. I can go to Indiana and be there in 5 minutes, right? I could probably be in Wisconsin in probably 45 minutes, no, probably 2 hours, right? So if I committed a crime, let's say on the Wisconsin border, in the Illinois border, or on the Indiana border and the Chicago border, right? Or the crime somehow bled over between the two. For Indiana to charge me and then to have Illinois charge me, then that would be considered successive prosecution. Yeah, they can do it, right? But it's better to have all the charges in one suit. And from my understanding, if both Illinois and Indiana charge me, that would be considered successive prosecution. And the same thing with the federal government. So it's not double jeopardy, but it's successive prosecution. So there is a sliver of hope, a small sliver of hope that Kales could probably claim successive prosecution and probably get this stuff thrown out. I'm hoping that something like that could happen, right? Will it happen? I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not a lawyer. I tell you that on most of my videos. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just reading stuff on the internet. I'm just giving it back to you, right? So there is a double jeopardy feature in this. Not featured, but there's double jeopardy to be found and all in this, because when you look at the feds, the Fed is one sovereign, right? So they charge R. Kelly in Federal District of New York, and then they turned around and charged him in the Federal District of Illinois, which is where he's been found guilty the second time. So double jeopardy there is that you could have charged him in one forum, right? So there's a chance that they could get the Chicago base, they can get the Chicago case thrown out on double jeopardy because you could have charged them with all this stuff in New York. And people are probably thinking, well, one is in New York, the other one's in Chicago. Those are two different places. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that it's the federal government, and this federal government is considered one sovereign. And I'm kind of surprised that none of his lawyers actually brought that up. Maybe I'm just 100% wrong, and if I'm wrong, prove to me that I'm wrong. Let me know that I'm wrong. Comments and questions below. If I'm wrong, prove it to me. I'm open to being corrected. I'm not. I know I'm not right on all this stuff. Probably not even right on probably 1% of it. But I strongly believe that because they brought the case in New York, and not only did they bring this case in New York, but they also included acts that were from Chicago, and they put it in the New York case, allegedly. Like, for example, the Aaliyah marriage license. You want to mention that in New York? Why not mention all this other stuff in New York and just hit them with one lawsuit? And I think the reason that they're breaking it up like this, the reason they're violating the double jeopardy clause, is because they want to make it harder for him to be able to appeal, and they want to make it harder for him to basically come back. And that's why I say his fate is sealed. Unfortunately, I am an R. Kelly supporter. I am an R. Kelly fan. But people, I'm sorry to tell you, they got this shit on lock. They got it on lock because now you have a situation where, and the funny thing is, like I said, I think he can beat all this stuff on appeal. But now, here's the playing field now. You got to appeal the New York case, right? You got to appeal that, right? And I think Jennifer Bonjean has some very, very good points on how to appeal, or the points that she's going to make in the appeal in the New York case. But she has to do that, right? But now he just got hit with another guilty verdict. So now you got to appeal this. And for those of you that don't know or can't imagine, I don't really know, but I can imagine, this shit takes work. Actually, I know, to be honest with you, but I'm not going to tell you how I know. But this shit takes a lot of goddamn work. To be honest with you, I think the work that's been created from this stuff is enough to probably keep 10 lawyers busy. I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm not saying that one lawyer or two lawyers can't do it, but you're going to leave stuff out, right? You're going to leave stuff hanging. And it's just too much for one lawyer. I think Jennifer Bonjean is probably going to be overwhelmed with both of these cases. Now, again, I'm not a lawyer. And I'm damn sure not, as good as Jennifer Bonjean with, filing appeals and all that shit. But, I filed a few documents, here and there. And I don't know what Jennifer Bonjean can actually do, right? We do know she is responsible for getting Bill Cosby out of jail, right? But you have to imagine that took 3 years for one case for Jennifer Bonjean, right? So now he has two different cases, and if you follow that same timeline, you're looking at least 6 years to kind of comb through all this stuff. And to make it even more complicated, there's deadlines and things need to be filed, right? So you're juggling two different cases, and you're overloaded, right? So that's why I think that she could be overloaded with all this work. She's probably gonna have to bring in some extra lawyers to help her out. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you know what it takes to file an appeal, I've watched a couple of videos. I think, who was it? Infamous Sylvia or someone had a appeals lawyer on their channel. I'll see if I can find that link and post it in the comments below. But Infamous Sylvia or somebody had a appeals lawyer come to their channel and talk about what it takes to appeal. And it is just a lot of motherfucking work. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, I've actually filed an appeal myself and some other unrelated matters. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of motherfucking work. I'm not gonna lie to you. So his fate is sealed. His fate is sealed with that respect. He's gonna do 6 years, 6 to 10 years at least, and that's what it's going to take to go through all these appeals. And the killing part is we're not even done yet. We're not even finished with this shit yet. So now they finna turn around and hit him with a case in Chicago, right? This was their strategy all along, people. Their strategy was to get him in this quagmire of cases. So it really doesn't matter if he wins or loses. I'll paint another scenario for you. If he would have won the New York case, the federal government would have appealed. And then if he would have came back to Chicago, the federal government would appeal this. And all that time while they are appealing, they're going to be looking for other shit to hit them with. Right? You know, so it's kind of a lose-lose no matter what. No matter what, it's a lose-lose. Because they're doing two things. Number one, they're trying to keep him busy, running back and forth, appealing his stuff. And then number two, they're draining his bank account, right? I spoke, and there's been conversation on YouTube with other YouTube bloggers, and, you know, they have this dialogue about where should people send R. Kelly money. And then I saw that dialogue. I didn't really want to challenge anybody on what they were saying. I didn't really want to attack anybody. People know that's not what I do. I don't attack people on YouTube. I don't single people out. But when I see stuff that is kind of off or I'm not in agreement with, I'm going to tell you. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you, right? I may not be polite about it. I mean, I'm going to do it in the most polite way. I'm sorry. I'm going to be as polite as possible, right? You know, so I saw the dialogue going back and forth. You know, send money to R. Kelly's prison account. I'm like, no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And God forbid, I could not find a video I made where I basically discussed the topic and I gave the reason for not sending money to R. Kelly's account. And lo and behold, and I haven't really had a lot of chance to make videos, but, you know, lo and behold, sometime maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I saw articles, and let me see if I can actually find this now. R. Kelly account garnished or suspended. Let's see what comes up. So here's this article here. Feds to garnish R. Kelly's $27,000 prison account to pay victims. And in that video, I went over in detail why you shouldn't send money to R. Kelly's commissary account. Because when you send money to his account, he doesn't really have control over it. The prison has control over that account. And they allow him to go in and get money on a regular basis. But I also cited in that video that, and I gave you the case law and everything, they can take that money at any time. And that's exactly what they did, right? A New York federal judge ruled Friday that the prosecution can seize $27,000 in R. Kelly's prison account. And I don't know where this money came from, but I am going to go ahead and guess that it came from the fans. So this is money, I'm guessing, I don't know for sure, but this is money, hard-earned money that fans have sent to R. Kelly, and they've taken it. They basically took the money. What I recommend is that someone on R. Kelly's behalf start a trust for R. Kelly's fans. Not a trust for R. Kelly, so that his fans can send money into that trust and they can figure out how to use that money for R. Kelly's benefit. And people are saying, you know, who can you rely on to get this job done? there's a lot of scammers out there. There's a lot of people that's going to try to take advantage, and other people were saying, don't do it. But to be honest with you, I think this is probably the best thing that can be done if you want to get money to R. Kelly, because any money he gets, they're going to take, plain and simple. And maybe the best way to do this, and this is a really tough situation, because it's like you don't know who to trust, right? But I think R. Kelly has to find someone that he can trust, halfway trust. Halfway trust at this point is good, because if you put it in his prison account, they're gonna take it. And I would rather you give it to somebody that I can halfway trust, because I will probably get something, right? And basically, he finds somebody that he can halfway trust, and then that person will allocate the money for his benefit. But right now, I think R. Kelly is not really in a position to manage his own money at this point. It's kind of funny, because this is kind of how he got in this situation in the beginning, by letting other people manage his affairs. But at this point, I think that I think he needs to maybe ask one of his lawyers to be the trustee of the trust, so that they can dish out funds to him. And I really don't like the thought of having a lawyer do this, unless it's a lawyer that's not involved with the actual case. And the reason I don't like that is because, you could end up with the lawyer just saying, okay, these is going to be attorney fees. I'm finna bill this motherfucker. Yeah, I went to court this day. That's $800 an hour. I'm finna take this out of this R. Kelly trust account. Get this motherfucker money. That's the type of shit lawyers do, and you can't blame them. You know what I mean? If you whatever you went to school for and you studied, you want to get paid. If you're not getting paid, you ain't doing the work. Who works for free? So you can't blame them. But I would rather that a lawyer not involved in litigating the case be responsible for the trust. That's the best approach to getting money to R. Kelly, and then the lawyer will figure out and pay reasonable fees to the lawyer. None of that motherfucking $500-600 an hour. I think the fees for something like this should be something like $50, maybe $20 an hour, or probably say maybe they get to keep, like, maybe, what would you say, probably like 5% or whatever is in the account, right? So hell, I don't know if if there's 20,000 in there, or 27,000 there, you get 5% of that for administrating the trust, right? Because let's face it, nobody is going to work for free. It's just not going to happen, right? Or maybe have a lawyer involved, but the actual person that's going to administer the trust would only get probably, so you probably have to set up a fee schedule, like maybe have a trust administrator for like $30 an hour, right? And then have the legal fees set at whatever price, but you organize it so the lawyer isn't actually doing a lot of work. You have it so that the non-lawyer, no pun intended, is doing most of the work, and then you get a cheaper rate. And when I say doing most of the work, it's like basically running from point A to point B, sitting cashier's checks, or wiring money, something that you really don't want to pay a lawyer to do, but somebody has to do it. So you pay someone the least amount of money to do it. In some situations, if it's a family member, then the family member wouldn't get paid anything, because the family member is probably doing it for the benefit of their children, so on and so forth. But like I said, we live in a world where, life costs, and I don't see anybody doing this for free for R. Kelly. There could be a fan out there that would do it, but then we run into trust issues. Y'all let me know what you think about it. I mean, but it's obvious that you can't just keep sending money to R. Kelly's commissary, because they're going to take it. And I told you they were going to take it, probably 5 or 6 months ago, and nobody listened to me. But, this is the one time I'm right about anything. when it comes down to this R. Kelly case. And yeah, I'm interested in hearing your opinions on how to get money to R. Kelly. But yeah, so getting back to the topic, R. Kelly's fate is sealed, y'all. I'm not even finna lie to you. I can't even pretend to lie to you. I think he still has a chance to win an appeal. I think in the first case there was just a lot of bullshit, and he had insufficient legal counsel, and there's like a ton of shit in the first case. So I honestly think he's going to be able to win on appeal in the federal district in New York. I think he can win on appeal here. Jennifer Bonjean has already laid out the reasons for appeal. One of them being that he couldn't have a fair case because most of the people had already seen the smear campaign documentary that they did on him. So if you've seen that and you're going to be judge and jury on the trial, then I think that he's already like your prejudice against R. Kelly, because it's going to be hard, especially if you believe it, right? It's going to be hard to get all those accusations from the show out of your mind. And even more, it's going to be hard to separate subconsciously what you've seen on the docuseries and the evidence that you're seeing in court. So I think that was a really good play by Jennifer Bonjean, putting in the motion for acquittal. Even though it got denied, she's setting that up for appeal, because if you don't ask for it in the lower court, you can't ask for it on appeal. So she's done that, right? The other thing that I think he can win on appeal on is double jeopardy. Like I said, he's already been tried in the federal district in New York. What the fuck is the point of trying him now in Chicago? All these same claims. Now remember, double jeopardy doesn't mean you have to charge, you're barred from charging him for the exact same thing. Double jeopardy also means you're barred from charging him for things you could have charged him in the first trial. And when they had the case in New York, there's no reason that you couldn't have brought all this shit in New York. You're only doing it now to try to basically overwhelm the man, right? You're trying to have all these multiple trials to overwhelm him, and that's your strategy. So, yeah, I think there's a really good double jeopardy claim in the two federal trials. Y'all let me know what you think. If I'm wrong, let me know when I'm wrong. I want to hear your opinion. Tell me why I am wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. The federal government is one sovereign. The federal, even though one case is in New York, the other is in Chicago, it's still the federal government. So it really doesn't matter. It's double jeopardy, right? And you even charged him, or you even raised some of the issues what's the word I'm looking for? You're even alleging some of the things that happened in Chicago, and you're bringing that up in the New York case. Why not bring it all up? Or why not just bring all the New York stuff to Chicago? Either or, right? No, you don't do that, because you have a strategy designed to break him down, to wear him out, right? So I think there's a double jeopardy claim there. But like I said, unfortunately, the fate is sealed. He finna do some time. He doing 10 years minimum. Minimum 10 years. Mark my words, right? And that's only if he can actually beat these claims, right? I think he can beat them. I'm hopeful he can beat them. But I don't know, right? Nobody can really tell the future and what's going to happen. There's also the case in Chicago, right? Not the federal case, but now the state case. Now he has to do that. I think one thing he could do is just go ahead and plead guilty. Or what's the word? Not guilty. He can plead no contest and say, you know what? I kind of played this game already. I already see where this shit is going. I'm just going to go ahead and plead no contest, with the intention of appealing all this shit in appeals court, and basically just list the reason in his appeal. Because let's face it, people, It's just a victory rap for now. A victory lap for now. They're just making victory rounds. So when they go in Chicago, he's going to automatically be considered guilty. The jury is not even going to be able to. They're not even going to be able to basically be unbiased at this point. They probably gonna find him guilty. They gonna be like, they gonna go in their little rooms like, look, y'all, we ain't even gotta go through all this shit. Y'all know that nigga guilty. We gonna say, let's just say he's guilty and get this over with. That's what they gonna do. I'm telling you, they're not gonna give any serious deliberation. I'm being facetious here, but really, I mean, that's what's gonna happen, right? They're not gonna really care about the facts. They're just going. What's gonna be stuck in their head is that they charged him. He's guilty in New York. He's guilty in Chicago. So why would he be guilty in the state of Illinois? That's the math that they're going to do in their heads. They're not going to listen to any evidence. So he has that to deal with, right? And I think that even if he wins that, I think the state is still going to appeal, right? Because, like I said, the strategy is to weigh him down in court cases, right? And then after that's done, they're going to hit him in Minnesota. So, man, people, look, it's over. You know what I mean? I think it's not over, but I think from the perspective that, he's going to have to spend some time in jail, I think the thought of him not spending time in jail or the thought of him escaping jail in the immediate future is over. Like, that's already locked in, right? He's spending at least 10 years in jail, guaranteed. And that's just on the pills alone, right? I could be wrong, could be 6 years, right? But he's going to spend some time in jail, guaranteed, right? And so the prospects of him not spending time in jail is pretty much over. Can he win on appeal? Yes, I think he has a pretty good chance of appealing a lot of this stuff and beating a lot of stuff. And even if he don't beat it all, I think he can at least reduce his time. So, I'm hopeful for that. And then when it comes down to the Illinois case, like I said, there is pretty much just going to be a repeat of everything that's happened. I think the Illinois case is the weakest case. That's why they're doing it last. And I think that even though it's weak, I think he's still going to lose because, like I said, they already have the precedent set. So he's going to lose that. I'm not even going to pretend to be optimistic on that. But like I said, he has a chance to appeal a lot of this stuff. I have a couple of videos. They're old videos on the Illinois case, and I point out the reason why a lot of this stuff in the Illinois case is just garbage, right? So I'll try to put a link to that in this video, and you can check it out. But yeah, these are my thoughts. Like I said, I'm sorry if I came off too harsh. I'm sorry if I came off too cold. And I'm sorry if I let people down because, like I said, I am an Rkelly supporter. But y'all, you got to see this shit for what it is. You know what I mean? He's basically been railroaded and he on the train now. You know what I mean? So it's like that train don't stop, until 10 years down the line. That's going to be the first stop. And hopefully he can hop off that motherfucker, right? So that's it for this video. Y'all let me know what you think. Leave your questions, comments below. And like, share, and subscribe.